Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Nikki Curry, founder of the Image Brand Company, LLC. Nikki works with entrepreneurs and personal brands to help them get featured, build credibility, and use PR as a growth tool, turning visibility into real opportunities. Her work focuses on helping founders stand out in crowded markets and position themselves as authorities in their space. Nikki, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Hello. I'm excited to have you here, and it's such a pleasure to be speaking with you. So, Nikki, with all of my guests, I do actually like to start at the beginning of their journey. So if you don't mind briefly taking me back to what it was you was doing before you started up the Image Brand Company, LLC, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
Great question. I was in corporate America before I actually launched my first business. Actually, that's not true. I dipped my big toe in the entrepreneurship world at the age of 12 years old. I used to clean houses and I watched my father. He was an entrepreneur and a pastor. So I grew up around this entrepreneurship spirit and it landed on me as well. But fast forward, before I started the Image Brand Company, I had other companies, I had business partners, but I was actually in corporate America. So I was specializing in advertising, marketing, branding, sales. I'm a salesperson by heart, by nature. I've been in sales since I was 16 years old. And that is some of the things that have really helped me build my business and my company, because you can't have a business if you don't have sales and marketing. It just doesn't exist, as well as systems, but we'll talk about that later. But the sales and marketing is an important piece. In corporate America, I was in the top 1% of the company. I remember being really good at it, and I had the golden handcuffs. I just couldn't leave it. I was afraid to leave it. I started at the bottom of the pool, and I advanced to the top of the company in a position called National Media Consultant. In some places, they call it key accounts. I was often the first or the only African-American female in those positions, and it definitely helped shape my future. As a matter of fact, what I kept witnessing is, for myself as well as for those that were around me, that there were so many talented and qualified people. However, they were invisible. That just bothered me. So working with the small business owners in the recreational vehicle market, that's where I was in corporate. I noticed that the small business man or woman really didn't stand a chance compared to some of the big companies that I work with, like the banks and insurance companies and things like that, big top 500 companies. I realized that they just didn't know how to stand out. They had no idea of how to brand themselves. And that's what kind of pushed me to this lane, and it pushed me to this avenue because I wanted to right the wrongs. I wanted their voices to be heard. I've heard so many mom and pop stories of, I can't get funding. I don't stand a chance. I don't have the dollars to do the big advertising campaigns, all of that. And that used to just break my heart. So I decided that I wanted to do something about it. And I started my true business in corporate America.
Love that. And starting from a very young age with the entrepreneurship, so you caught the bug
Yes.
young, and I feel like that is such a great thing to do because you naturally just develop those skills as you go through life. You'll always become that entrepreneur if you've always had that kind of upbringing. So it's really nice
Yes.
to have that for yourself. And then naturally, yeah, working in corporate is such a grind, but you learn so much, especially if you start at the bottom and you work your way to the top. All that experience coming to good use, and as you say, helping small businesses, the reward from that is way bigger because they are already at a downhill. Naturally, they have to start from the bottom to get their way to the top compared to those big companies. So it's just putting those efforts where they are. I love the fact that you touched on sales and marketing as well. I myself I'm a big fan of sales and marketing, and it is so important to every business. Naturally,
It is.
without marketing, no one knows who you are. Without selling, you're not making any money. So you need to have
I
those
love
two
it.
kind of really buried into it,
Yeah.
which is really cool. So, Nikki, let's dive into the image brand company a little bit more, just so that the listeners can have some context moving forward. So, at this point in, who would you say is your like ideal client? Who is it you very much love to work with the most? And then from there, how is it you help them? And how would you support them along their own journey?
My ideal client would be those leaders, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, infopreneurs, entrepreneurs, I'm sorry, those that feel underestimated, unseen, unvalued, inadequate, those that are often sidelined because they don't have the budgets or they don't have the ecosystems that someone else may have. These are the people that I really attract and navigate towards because I know that what it can do, what happens in within industries where people are constantly overlooked. They experience obscurity. And that's what I do. I help them become known, paid. And I use the vehicles like publicity, PR, media, marketing, and there's a difference branding. I'm not a regular brand strategist, but I did start off that way. That's a whole different talk show there. But I am that person that believes that everyone has a voice and everyone has something to say. And I help you get featured. I help you elevate your platform on your own terms. This is not a cookie cutter process. This is not a dress rehearsal. Everyone has a right to position themselves. And I guess that's the main word. I help them with the right type of positioning and closing up what we call the visibility gaps. And I work mainly with 4 visibility gaps. Okay.
Beautiful stuff. Yeah, so as you say, it's those people that are, as you say, starting off on the back foot, very much need to be get seen and heard, and it's a very noisy world at the moment. You will know this yourself. So it's about cutting through that and leaning into authenticity, which is easier. It's easier said than done for most people. So I take it that must be a part of it as well, is unlocking what is truly them, so they can very much be themselves and really shine when they need to be.
Right.
Do you very much get in the trenches with your clients, and like, what is your style or your approach when you are working with them?
Oh, do I get in the trenches? Absolutely. Now, I have several programs and offers and things like that, but most of my clients, and I'm very selective with the clients that I choose, but most of my clients, they love the one on one experience with me.
Mm,
I have VIP days, I have intensives, I do a lot of hot seats. A lot of people start off with me with a VIP hot seat. We call it a VIP ROI because I'm all about making sure you mend those holes in your visibility strategy, right? If you even have one, most people don't have one. So I'm all about making sure we set up the foundation and the infrastructure of you being seen, not just so that you have a pretty brand and all of that. I don't do that part. I work
yeah.
on the other side. I make sure you get into the right rooms. I make sure you show up to the point where you're worth being known, if that makes sense. A lot of people want to be seen, they want to be heard, but why? Do you know why? Why should someone pay attention to you? So it's not so much about the attention, even though we live in the attention economy. I believe we should be focusing on the credibility economy. Building trust is so important to branding, especially in today's world, in today's market. There's so much noise out here. Why should people pay attention to you? Why should they hand you their credit cards? Why should they send you pay your invoice? Think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the way you put it. You should be known. Like, why do you want to be seen? You need to be wanting to be known, which is such a beautiful way. Because as you say, it is building that trust with people. It's making them remember you and resonate with you as a person, leaning on those connections. And we are in a very big trust recession at the moment, and as everyone keeps saying. So yeah, it's not the pretty stuff that goes with marketing. It is that real life, as you're saying, with the PR, the psychology of how do we get you into the right rooms? How do we get it so those people are recognizing you? And you can very much meet them at where they are as well. As you say, we can build you that visibility strategy, or we can enhance the one you have already and just take it from there. So it's a really cool
Right.
aspect. Now, with obviously with all your experience, Nikki, one thing I'm very curious to find out is how you go about acquiring your own customers. So like in terms of channels or methods, like what are you finding most effective in being seen, being heard, and just finding those right people to work with?
The way I acquire most of our clients is relationships first. I put relationship building first. That is so important to me. I've been in business for a few decades now, a couple of decades now. And I have learned that my biggest gift is building relationships. I've worked with celebrities, currently working with celebrities, industry celebrities, influencers, you name it, I've done it. And I believe that my biggest gift is knowing how to establish and build and grow relationships. And then the second piece would be as a speaker, as a professional speaker. I work with speakers and I speak as well. I get a lot of referrals and what we call stage side leads from speaking or doing workshops or breakout sessions, keynotes, that kind of thing. And then once you get a taste of me or you have the opportunity to sit with me and discover what I do, again, it's not a cookie cutter process. Most people like, okay, I like you. Once they work with me for a while, they tell me, I love you, but I don't like you because I can really bring up all your stuff. I can really make you, I have that gift. And this is not a brag or a boast, but I just have that gift of discernment where I can see in others what they can't see in themselves. And it took me a long time to process that and embrace that because I thought it was a gift and a curse. But it is truly a gift to show someone this is what you could be doing. This is what I see in you. This is a strategic plan for you to follow to get where you want to go. Or I pull out of them what their goals should be and what they're really trying to convey, but they don't know how to explain it. And sometimes we're stuck like that. We're so used to being in a certain place that we forget how to dream or we forget how to tell our own story. So I have a way of pulling that out of them. Yeah, but speaking, referrals, first relationships, those are how I get most of our clients. And of course, I'm all over LinkedIn. Content is great. And I build communities no matter where I am, in person or virtually. Building communities is really big to me, really huge. Yeah.
I love that. And that community aspect is very much leaning on, as you say, building relationships and just on that human connection again. So you're very much practicing what you preach, which is good to hear. So you're putting yourself in those right rooms, getting your visibility online as well as in person, and actually listening to somebody's voice. So when you are in speaking events, you do resonate so much, even with the vibrations, not just the words they're saying. So they will build those connections with you. And then from in there, I know you mentioned before, you're very intentional with who you work with. So it's just a great way to make sure you're building that rapport and staying top of mind when you need to be. Aspect. I do want to double back a little bit on what you said about obviously the blessing and the curse. I feel like I know exactly where you're coming from because when you do go through life realizing how much potential other people have when they don't see it themselves, if they're not ready to see that themselves and they're not ready to take them steps, it can be a very frustrating moment. I've done it myself where you like just want to shake somebody, but to be able to pull certain aspects of people out of themselves is a very big gift. So yeah, leaning into that, leaning into your superpower must fill you with joy and fulfillment as you grow through it as well.
Absolutely. And that's funny you use the word superpower because that is one of my signature talks. And that's the premise, the foundation. Being underestimated is your superpower. I totally believe in that. And that's what I pull out of them. I show them how they're operating at an alias stage, and then I bring them to their superpower. And it's not a cookie cutter process. It really is. We're all different. We're structured differently. Our DNA is different. We approach things differently. And when you're trying to be someone else, it doesn't work. When you're trying to mimic everything someone else is doing, it doesn't work. You have to know what works for you. What's in the sauce for you? What should you be doing? And that's what I love doing. I love pulling that out and then putting it together for them to say, here's your roadmap. Start here. The first thing you have to do is make up your mind that I want to change. The second thing you have to do is take action. I can give you all the strategies in the world, but if you never implement them, it's just noise, period.
Yeah, I love that. And as you say, like Batman and Superman wouldn't be comparing their two abilities because they're completely different people. So they lean into their own superpowers as you should do yours. And as you say on the back of that, because it isn't a cookie cutter approach, the half of it as well is the overwhelm that comes with starting anything that is new and scary. So you are providing with that roadmap, have you said, like the clarity they need to take that forward and implement it where they should be. So that process should just be nice and relaxing for them the whole way through. Slightly uncomfortable maybe when they are unlocking what they should be unlocking, but still nonetheless that process. And Nikki, with all that being said, like what are your visions or your intentions for the company moving forward? When you think of maybe like the next 6 to 12 months, what are the goals or the targets that you're working hard towards achieving at the moment?
Ooh, that's a great question. Here's the thing. I'm going to admit something publicly that I hadn't said before. In being in business over 20 something odd years, I am currently with my structure of my business model now, and as I move forward, I am not the same Nikki Curry I was in 2019, 2020, 2022. I want to do more things in my business that sparks joy. I want, and don't get me wrong, I love my clients. I love my clients. Like I said, I have several programs, but I am working with a systems expert that is coming in and helping me with my systems and giving me that structure I need with the new business model that I'm looking at. I am big on building a new community or growing the community that I have and working solely with them, doing a deep dive with them on a regular basis, not so much hands-on stuff. So in the next 6 to 12 months, you will see a different Nikki Curry, the visibility equalizer, formerly the brand definer. I am doing more or less, I should say, of the hands-on one-to-one. I will have premium clients because some of my clients have been with me 5-6 years or more. So they're not going anywhere per se. So they will be my premium clients, but I am doing more of speaking. What I do for others, I want to do for myself. So I want to be on more stages. I'm going to schedule time to do that. It's going to be difficult, but I'm going to schedule time to speak more because that's where I find the joy, where I'm able to teach what I know and be in front of those that want to learn and do what I do within their own businesses. That really gives me joy. So if it doesn't spark joy, I really don't want to do it. And it sounds like I'm going towards more of community and a little bit of solopreneurship, if that makes sense. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. I've done the entrepreneurship thing for years and managing people, managing systems, managing accounts, managing payroll, all of that good stuff. But I just want a little bit more freedom. And I know I need the right systems to do it. And the systems piece is not necessarily my lane. I know what I should do or what I should have, but I don't know necessarily how to implement them. So I've hired an expert to come in and do that. And she's shaking things up on my end. Whew, pray for me.
I love that you've invested in your joy, which is a really cool thing aspect.
Oh, I love how you put that.
Yeah,
I've invested in my joy.
Yeah, I know, it's good. And that is the thing. And especially if you've been in business for such a long time, naturally you're in the day-to-day runnings every day. You're managing a team, you're managing payroll, you're managing the company. There's a lot going on. So it's nice that you do have the privilege to step back a little bit, just take the time and run that business how you want to do. Find joy in the work again, find joy in what you're doing. It's a very good position to be in. So yeah, take it by the horns and get on those stages and run with it. And I have one final question to ask you, Nikki. So if you could go back in time to a younger self and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, something you know now, but that you didn't know back then, what would you say to yourself?
That you're worthy. I would say to myself that you're worthy. And I think that is the cusp or root of why I'm in this type of business, helping people become visible and be seen, appreciated, respected, and celebrated, right? Because I know what it's like not to be celebrated. I know what it's like to be overlooked. And I think that's what my childhood or my upbringing is what kind of catapulted me to this position in life. I want to make sure everyone knows that's ready to know this, but know that you have something to say, your voice should be heard. Don't ever allow anyone to mute your mic. And that's what I want people to know. Your voice should be heard. And here's why.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love it. I love the way you put don't let your mic be muted. Really cool stuff. And Nikki, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out best to work with you or connect with you if they would like to do?
If you would like to connect with me, I'm on all social media platforms, but my main jam is LinkedIn, of course. Please find me on Nikki Curry Media. It's 2 Ks in Nikki, 2 Rs in Curry. Nikki Curry Media on LinkedIn. And then if you would like to discover your superpower, your visibility superpower, I should say, which is a very interesting assessment. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes to complete, 10 questions. Go to, I think we just moved the page. So it's tinyurl.com/quiz superpower. tinyurl.com/quiz superpower. I promise you, you will find so much information there about you. You go, oh, that's me. It never fails. It never fails.
Yeah, I'm going to go and do it afterwards. And Nikki, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time again. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to go and check out Nikki Curry. As she just said, drop her a message on LinkedIn. Please go and fill out the questionnaire, check out the website. I'm sure she would love to hear from everybody. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from $0 to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing and we'll see you on the next one.